Hey people, Pinnacle here. So today we are going to change the rear sprocket and the chain. First thing you need to do, take the wheel off. There should be another video detailing how to take front and rear wheels off, so if you don't know how to do that, you can find that on my channel.
Naughty, naughty, very naughty.
So in order to do this, you need an angle grinder. You're going to need a metal disc. Don't try it with anything else because you will just end up shattering a disc or doing damage to the vehicle. And also, oh, almost fell over. Also, safety goggles. I've seen a few of these snap. You don't want that in your eye. So I'm going to place this down here. We're going to cut one of these. We're going to shave these two links off here. So we'll place the camera down and we'll see if we can get an angle on it. Hopefully you can see from there. And excuse the noise.
A few moments later.
Angle grinder at the back of a motorbike, that's the last thing you usually want to be seeing. Usually means someone's trying to nick your bike. But okay, so that's done. Now we're going to get the chain breaker kit and break that link. Hopefully you can see here. So what we've got is we've got the chain breaker all set up. If you don't know how to set one of these chain breakers up, then I'll do another video about that. But in order to break the chain, you basically need to insert the correct diameter rod into this part, stick the handle on, align it all up, and then just make sure you only turn by hand. So with this process, make sure you go nice and easy. Keep backing off and then going back on again to make sure you get the hole in the right place and you are pushing through the pin rather than pushing on the actual chain casing itself. Once you've done that, the chain link should pop out the other end, the other side, the back end of the tool, and then the chain should just drop away. Let's have a go at taking this off then. Sometimes you need an extension, but you can just about get in there with the initial one, and then it's usually finger tight after that. Next process is to take the left hand side fairing off because we need to get to the sprocket cover, and that is kind of overlapped a little bit by the side fairing. So once we've taken the fairing off, now there should be videos on my channel on how to take the fairing off quite easily. Once you've done it a few times, it becomes really easy and very quick. You're going to need 8mm socket for this, so if you have a socket extender as well, that will help because these are quite, embedded into the cover itself. So if you've got one of those long sockets or a socket extender, that's going to help you out. There's actually 3 bolts holding this in place, 2 that you can see quite clearly, and there's one that is behind the overflow pipes. So this is the overflow from your petrol tank and the overflow from your water. You'll need to take the pipes out. Wherever there's a hole in a piece of fairing or a piece of plastic or a cover, there's usually a bolt behind it. So have a look on the left hand side and you will see the hidden bolt. Just rock this gently to get it out, or you can just force it off like I did. Once you've done that, this is always worth giving this a bit of a clean. This is the one that gets gunked up the most. Now you can just feed your chain through from the bottom just to get it off. Once it's all cleaned up, we get to put the new chain on. Now the chain does come with a lithium grease layer on it. It's not ideal for long-term riding, but it's okay to start with. You are going to need to adjust the chain quite frequently for the first 1 or 2 rides, and at that stage you can clean it off and re-lube it anyway. Some key points to note when you're putting the back wheel on: make sure both of the adjustments on either side of the swing arm are in the same position, because if they're not, the bolt won't go through and the wheel won't line up. Also, use a couple of little toolboxes or whatever you want, pieces of wood, to prop the wheel up to the correct height, and that will make it a lot easier to be able to handle and put the wheel back. Okay, the spring clips are very easy. Looks like a teddy bear. Just grab the teddy bear between the ears and squeeze. Yeah, that's what you're going to be doing. So we're going to be putting it in, like so. I've torqued these up, by the way. Grab the teddy bear by the ears, and we'll just push that into position here. So that now sits in, and we'll do the same with the other side. Okay, this bit's going to be hard to get on camera, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to grab the chain from here, pull it up, and pull it over the rear sprocket. So I'm not going to record that, but literally just going to grab the chain from here, lift it up, and put it over the sprocket. What you're going to get in here is you're going to get the chain link, the chain cap, and you're also going to get some grease. So, and your O-rings, obviously, they're the important ones. Now there's two ways you can do this. What I usually do, and I'll show you, is I will tear off a little corner. I'm going to put a little bit of grease first of all, just on here. Yeah. Right up the base, right up the top. I know what some people do is they pour grease into this bag to lubricate the O-rings, but I don't see the point of that, right? Because you're wasting a lot of grease like that. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to put that down. I'm going to slip 2 O-rings on there, or 2, sorry, X-rings. These are not O-rings, these are actually X-rings because they have grooves. I'm going to put a little bit more grease on top of them. Okay. So this is actually going to go in the back side of these two here. Once you've put the link in, you need to put the second set of O-rings on. So you grease that, put the O-rings on, and grease it some more. Right, there we go, sorry. So the writing should always be on the front. I just tried to push it on backwards. I'm not sure if it really matters which way it goes around, but that's the way I've done it. Now, in our kit, we have 2 square pieces. We're still going to use the handle, we're still going to use the rotation arm, but we have 2 square pieces that we want to build into this. And the way we do that, so we take that off. This bit goes at the back, okay? And then this bit will go at the front, okay? And we know it goes at the front because we have 2 holes for where the chain will come into. Now, we should be able to link that on the back. We should feel it. It should just sit home. But that's about right. Again, we need this bit. And all we're going to do is we're going to just push it gently with our hands. Yeah. Then we're going to back off. Oh, Jesus. Easier said than done. Why is it so hard to back off? Oh, there we go. And we can see that they're coming through now, which is good. So those bits are actually coming through. That is stuck on there. It's not through all the way yet, so we definitely need to push it more, but it is in the right position, which is what we want. So we will go again. This bit goes in here, this bit goes here. That flicks in over the back. We will turn this one round, line the holes up. Holes are lined up. This goes in, hold the handle, pull it round. Now I think on this is quite tight. I think we may need, on this part, we may need the socket to start pushing those through all the way. I don't know. I'm going to try it by hand a bit more, but it is a bit of a bit of force needed. Actually, you probably can do it. Maybe I'm a bit old and weak, You can probably do it by hand. Let's go and have a look to see how much of that's come through now, because we don't want it too tight. If we do it too tight, then we've got problems. Right, you can see that's come through now. Now, what I would do at this stage, and what I'm going to do, I know it's a little bit excessive, takes a little bit longer. I want to measure the thickness of those with a caliper, and then I'm going to measure the thickness of those with a caliper, because I'm a little bit OCD and I want it to be right. I don't want it to be too tight, I don't want it to be too loose. As we get close up on that, you can see that they're out enough. And I think all we need to do now is compress the tops of them so that it mushrooms over. Okay, so what do we need now? We're going to take the pin out, which I'm doing here, sorry. We're going to put the round-in bolt and the spring. Spring goes on, rounding bolt goes in here. That screws back in. Now, we're not going to use anything on the back. And the reason we're not going to use anything on the back is because, I mean, although that fits nicely on the back, actually we will use something on the back, we'll use that on the back. You want to find one that fits over these moulds, yeah, just to hold it in place. So that fits nicely over the back.
A few inches later.
Anyway, I think that's as much as we can do. We've compressed that out as much as we can now. Now, I can't tell. My eyes are not that good. The one on the left is the one that we've done so far. Can you see any difference? Is it focusing? Let's just do the one on the right. I think as long as we've kind of compressed it as much as we can, we should be good.
3 days later.
I think that is as much as it's going to work, as it's going to go. Now what we need to do, need to adjust the chain, and then we need to put the sprocket cover back on, and then we're going to lube it as well. What we'll probably do is we're going to lube the inside from the bottom of the chain down here. You can see it down there. That's where you should always lube here. People lube here and on here. No, what's the point? You want to get in the O-rings that come into contact. If you do it here, as the wheel is turning, the lubrication is pushing outwards. Yeah, rotational force, it pushes outwards. So lube on the inside of the chain, and the lube will push out as you're circulating the wheel around anyway.
So I'm not going to go into details of actually showing the chain being lubed or the chain tension being adjusted. These are kind of maintenance things that hopefully you guys should know anyway. I'll do a separate video on adjusting the tension of your chain and cleaning and lubing your chain, because I think that's always beneficial for people that are just starting out in the kind of biking hobby or biking era. We're putting everything back together after this. We are putting the sprocket cover back on. Make sure that you feed your overflow pipes back down, because otherwise you don't want to be overflowing petrol onto a hot engine. It's not going to ignite, but it's not good. And you don't want to be having water overflowing coming out of your side of your fairings. So once that's back on, put the fairing back on. You will need to adjust the chain tension again after a ride, so please be wary that, you know, even if you only go for 10-15 miles, come back, check that tension regularly for the first few rides, because the chains do tend to, you know, settle in and stretch very, very slightly. I think my chain stretched about 10 mil or so, and then the strange thing is that once I actually took it for a very long ride in all conditions, I did 600 miles. the chain actually shrunk or the tension increased, let's say. It went from an adjustment of 25 mil to 0.9 centimeters, so 9 mil. It went from 25 mil to 9 mil. So yeah, just be wary. New chains, just monitor the tension a little bit more than you should until the first 500,000 miles or so. So as always, I hope these how-to videos have been of some use to someone. If you do find it useful, please leave a comment, let me know. Just appreciate any feedback. And if you've got any suggestions about the way I've done things, you don't think it's right, or you know of a better way, I'm always open to constructive criticism. So, please leave a comment again, let me know. We're always learning. No one's an expert, no one's a professional. And if you always think that you're at the top of the learning curve and there's no more to learn, you couldn't be further from the truth. So in the meantime, ride safe, but have fun.